I still remember the night we almost gave up, I said, leaning back in my chair as I looked at Daniel. He laughed softly. You mean the night you wanted to quit and I had to convince you not to? I shook my head. That's not how I remember it. It is, he replied with a grin. You were staring at the laptop like it personally betrayed you. I was tired, I said. We had been working for 18 hours straight. And I told you, he continued, raising his finger slightly. One more push, Mike. Just one more. I smiled despite myself. Yeah, one more push. That was always Daniel. Confident. Certain. The kind of person who made everything feel possible. I'm serious, he said, his tone softer now. If we had stopped that night, none of this would exist. I looked around my office, the glass walls, the city view, the quiet hum of success surrounding me. I know, I said. That's why I always say this is our company, not mine. Daniel nodded slowly. Our company. Those words meant everything to me. Dinner tonight? He asked. With Emily? I said. Don't forget. He smirked. How could I forget? She'd kill me. I laughed. She likes you more than me sometimes. That's because I'm more fun, he replied. Yeah, right. Tell her I'll be there at 8, he said, standing up. And try not to work too late, okay? I nodded. I won't. As he walked out, I felt something I had felt for years: pride. Not just in the company, but in us, in what we had built together. Later that evening, I walked into our apartment and saw Emily standing by the kitchen counter. She turned and smiled. You're home early. Big day, I said, dropping my bag. I survived. She laughed softly. That's a relief. I walked closer. You look amazing. I always do, she said playfully. That's true, I admitted. She stepped closer and fixed my collar. You work too much. I'm building our future, I replied. Our future, she repeated, smiling. I wrapped my arms around her. Do you ever regret it? Regret what? She asked. Choosing this life, choosing me. She looked at me for a moment. No, she said, never. I believed her completely. At dinner, Daniel was already there, scrolling through his phone. You're late, he said without looking up. We're 5 minutes early, I replied. He glanced at his watch. Still late. Emily laughed. You're impossible. And you love me for it, he said. She smiled. Maybe. I pulled out my chair, watching them joke, feeling oddly calm. This is nice, I said. What is? Daniel asked. This, I repeated. Us. Just sitting together like this. Emily reached for her glass. We should do it more often. We're too busy being successful, Daniel said. Speak for yourself, I replied. Oh, please, he said. You love it more than I do. Not more than this, I said quietly. They both looked at me. What? Daniel asked. Nothing, I said. I just mean, this matters more. Emily smiled softly. You're being emotional. Am I not allowed to be? I asked. Daniel chuckled. Only if you don't cry. I'm not going to cry, I said. Good, he replied, because that would ruin dinner. We all laughed, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. Later that night, Emily and I sat on the couch. Daniel seems happy, she said. He is, I replied. We both are. She leaned her head on my shoulder. You trust him a lot. He's my brother, I said. Of course I trust him. She was quiet for a second. More than anyone? I didn't hesitate. Yes, and me? She asked softly. I turned to her. You're my wife. That's not an answer, she said. It is, I replied. It means I trust you with my life. She held my gaze for a moment, then smiled faintly. Good. I kissed her forehead. Why are you asking? No reason, she said. Just curious. I nodded slowly. You don't have to wonder about that. I know, she said. Before going to bed, I checked my phone. A message from Daniel. We did it, Mike. Don't forget that. I typed back, "We did it together." He replied almost instantly, "Always." I stared at that word for a second. Always. It felt strong, unbreakable, like something that could never change. As I lay in bed beside Emily, I let out a quiet breath. My company was growing. My brother was by my side. My wife loved me. Everything I had worked for was finally real. "Unlucky," I whispered. Emily didn't respond. She was already asleep. I closed my eyes, feeling at peace. At that time, I truly believed my life was perfect. Looking back now, I understand something I couldn't see then. The life I trusted the most was already beginning to break. "Emily, you're home late again," I said, checking the time on my phone. She slipped off her heels and avoided my eyes. "It's not that late. It's past 11, I replied. "You said you'd be back by 9.
The deadline was yesterday.
I lost track of time, she said quickly.
I
was
don't
out
care.
with friends.
Find a way.
Which
Show me the new
friends?
projections.
I
They're
asked.
right here on the laptop.
She paused
the
for a
impact is
second.
minimal, friend.
Just
you doing in this
people
one
from
here.
the gym.
This
I
deadline's
studied
a
her
joke.
face. "You don't
Blame
usually
the
stay
coffee.
out
It's
this long,"
decaf sabotage.
she sighed. "Why are you making this a big deal?" "I'm not," I said. "I'm just asking." "Well, don't," she replied, walking past me. "I'm tired." I stood there for a moment, watching her disappear into the bedroom. Something about that felt off, but I shook it away. The next morning, I found Daniel already in my office, typing on his laptop. "You're early," I said. He didn't look up. "Had some things to handle." "What things?" I asked. "Just business stuff," he replied. I frowned. "You usually tell me everything." He finally looked at me. "I still do. And tell me," I said. "It's nothing important," he replied. "You're overthinking it." I leaned against the desk. "Since when do you decide what's important?" He closed his laptop slowly. "Mike, relax. I've got it under control." "That's not the point," I said. "We always talk things through." "And we still will," he said, his tone slightly sharper now. "Just not every small detail." I stared at him. "Since when did things become your responsibility instead of ours?" He gave a short laugh. "You're reading too much into this." "Am I?" I asked quietly. "Yes," he said firmly. "You are." I nodded slowly. "Okay." But something didn't feel right. That evening we were at a restaurant celebrating our biggest investment deal yet. "This is huge," I said, raising my glass. "We finally made it." Daniel smiled. "Told you we would." Emily lifted her glass. "To success." "To success," I repeated. We clinked glasses. For a moment, everything looked perfect again. But then I noticed it. A glance, quick, subtle, between Emily and Daniel. I blinked. Maybe I imagined it. "So what's next?" Emily asked, turning to Daniel. "We expand," he said. "Move faster. Take bigger risks." She smiled. "I like that." I leaned back slightly. "We should still be careful." Daniel looked at me. "Careful doesn't build empires." "It also doesn't destroy them," I replied. He smirked. "You worry too much." Emily laughed softly. "He always has." I forced a smile. "Someone has to." They both looked at each other again, just for a second, but it was enough. A strange feeling settled in my chest. "Excuse me," I said, standing up. "I'll be right back." In the restroom, I stared at my reflection. "What are you doing?" I whispered to myself. I shook my head. "They're your family." I splashed water on my face. "You trust them?" I took a deep breath. "Stop thinking like this." When I returned, they were already talking quietly. "It's not that simple," Emily was saying. Daniel noticed me and stopped. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just needed a minute." Emily smiled. "You look tired." "Long day," I replied. Daniel leaned back. "You should take a break sometime." "I will," I said, "after things settle." He nodded. "They will." His tone sounded certain. Too certain. Later that night, we walked out of the restaurant together. "I'll head this way," Daniel said. "Got an early meeting tomorrow." "Since when?" I asked. He shrugged. "Since now." Emily smiled at him. "Good luck." He smiled back. Thanks. I watched him walk away. Then I turned to Emily. You didn't tell me you had plans with him. She looked confused. What? You said you were out with friends last night, I said. Were you with him? Her expression changed instantly. No. Then why does it feel like you're hiding something? I asked. I'm not, she said quickly. You're imagining things. Am I? I asked. Yes, she replied. You are. I stared at her for a moment. Then I nodded. Okay. That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Something felt wrong, not obvious, not clear, just wrong. But I kept repeating the same thought in my mind. Daniel is my brother. Emily is my wife. They would never betray me. I closed my eyes tightly, because believing that was easier than facing the possibility that I might be wrong. I should have called first, I muttered as I unlocked the door. The house was dark. Emily, I called. Out, no answer. I stepped inside and closed the door quietly behind me. I'm home early. Still nothing. I frowned. That's strange. Usually, she would answer right away. I set my bag down and loosened my tie. Emily? Then I heard it. A voice. Soft, distant, coming from upstairs. I smiled slightly. She's probably on the phone. I started walking toward the stairs. Hey, I called out. I didn't know you were busy. The voice stopped for a second. Then it started again. Lower this time, quieter. I slowed down. Something about it felt wrong. Emily, I said again, my voice softer now. No response. I reached the top of the stairs and stood still. The bedroom door was closed, and the voices were coming from inside.
Don't go. We can work this out.
I stepped
It's
closer.
time. We need to leave now.
We need to
Let
be
go.
careful.
I have to.
I heard
This
Emily
is goodbye.
say. My
Let's
chest
go. She's
tightened.
made her
Careful.
choice.
Relax. Another voice replied. A male voice. Familiar. Too familiar. I froze. No one will find out, he said. My heart started pounding. That's not the point, Emily whispered. This is getting risky. I took a step back. No, that's not possible. I shook my head. You're overthinking it, he said. I knew that voice. I knew it better than anyone. My hand slowly reached for the door handle. This can't be happening, I whispered. I pushed the door open, and everything stopped. Emily was standing near the bed. Daniel was right beside her. Too close. Way too close. Way too close. They both turned to look at me. No one moved. No one spoke. For a second, I thought I was dreaming. Mike, Emily said quietly. I couldn't breathe. Daniel didn't say anything. He just looked at me. Calm, too calm. What? My voice broke. What is this? No one answered. Say something, I said, louder this time. Emily looked at Daniel, then back at me. It's not what you think, she said. I laughed. A short, broken laugh. Really? I said, because it looks exactly like what I think. Mike, listen, Daniel started. No, I cut him off. You don't get to talk first. He stopped. I pointed at him. You don't get to explain this. Emily stepped forward. Please, just let me. Let you what? I snapped. Lie to me? She flinched. I came home early to surprise you, I said, and this is what I find. It's complicated, she said. It's not complicated, I replied. It's simple. I looked at both of them. My wife, I said slowly, and my brother. Silence filled the room. How long? I asked. No answer. How long? I repeated, louder. Emily looked down. Daniel finally spoke. A few months. My chest tightened. A few months, I whispered. It just happened, Emily said quickly. We didn't plan it. I stared at her. You didn't plan it? No, she said. It just grew. I laughed again, but it felt empty. You're telling me this just happened? I said. Daniel stepped forward slightly. Mike, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down, I said sharply. He raised his hands. I'm just saying, I trusted you, I said. He went quiet. I trusted you more than anyone, I continued. And this is what you do? It's not that simple, he said. Then explain it, I said. Make it make sense. He hesitated. Emily spoke instead. We didn't mean for it to hurt you. I stared at her. You didn't mean to hurt me? I repeated. Yes, she said softly. I shook my head slowly. That's all you've done, I said. Everything about this hurts me. She looked away. I turned to Daniel. And you? He met my eyes. I didn't want it to happen like this, he said. But you still did it, I replied. He didn't answer. Every late night, I said. Every secret, it was this, wasn't it? Emily stayed silent. That's why you've been distant, I said to her. She nodded slowly. And you? I looked at Daniel. All those business decisions? Were you too busy with this? Mike, don't, I said. Just don't. The room felt suffocating. I looked around. My ed room, my space. And suddenly it didn't feel like mine anymore. I can't believe this, I whispered. Emily stepped closer. Please just listen. I've heard enough, I said. I backed away toward the door. Mike, Daniel said, we can fix this. I stopped, then I laughed. Fix this, I repeated. I looked at him. There's nothing left to fix. Neither of them spoke. I shook my head slowly. The two people I trusted most, I said. Quietly, my voice felt heavy. And this is what you chose. Emily's eyes filled with something I couldn't read. Regret? Guilt? It didn't matter. I stepped out of the room. No one followed me. No one tried to stop me. And in that moment, I understood something I never wanted to believe. My life wasn't breaking. It was already gone. Say it again, I said quietly. Daniel didn't look away. You heard me? No, I replied. I want to hear you say it clearly. Emily stood behind him silent. Daniel took a breath. The board is voting tomorrow. Tendered for what? I asked, though I already knew. To remove you as CEO. The words hit harder than anything else. I let out a slow breath. You're joking. I'm not, he said calmly. I laughed, but it sounded hollow. You think they'd choose you over me? They already have, he replied. I stared at him. That's not possible. It is, he said. I've been talking to them for months. Months, I repeated. Yes. While working with me every day? I asked. Yes. Yes? While calling me your partner? I said. Yes. I shook my head slowly. Why? His expression didn't change. Because you were holding the company back. I felt something twist inside me. Holding it back? You play too safe, he said. You hesitate. That's called being responsible, I snapped. That's called being weak, he replied. Emily stepped forward slightly. Daniel. No, I said, raising my hand. Let him talk. Daniel looked at me. The investors agree with me. They trusted me, I said. They trusted results, he replied. And I gave them results, I said. You gave them stability, he said. I offered growth. I stared at him. So you betrayed me? I made a decision, he said. You destroyed everything we built, I said. I saved it, he replied. I laughed again. You saved it? Yes, he said. From you. The room felt smaller. You planned this, I said slowly. He didn't answer. You planned all of this, I repeated. Yes, he said. Emily looked down. I turned to her. And you knew? She hesitated. Not at first. But you stayed, I said. She nodded weakly. I felt my chest tighten. Of course you did. Mike, it's not like that, she said. It's exactly like that, I replied. Daniel stepped forward. You're making this emotional. Because it is emotional, I said. This is my life. It's business, he said. It's betrayal, I replied. The next day, I walked into the boardroom. Every seat was filled. Every face avoided mine. Let's begin, one of the investors said. I stood at the head of the table. What is this? Daniel spoke calmly. It's a vote. I know what it is, I said. I want to know why. Silence. You all know what I've done for this company, I continued. Richard Lawson cleared his throat. We do. Then explain this, I said. He glanced at Daniel. We believe a change in leadership is necessary. Necessary? I repeated. Yes, he said. For future growth. I laughed bitterly. Future growth. Daniel didn't say anything. I looked at each of them. So this is it? No one answered. Go ahead, I said. Vote. One by one, hands went up. Every single one. My chest felt heavy. Unbelievable, I whispered. Daniel finally spoke. It's done. I looked at him. You really think this is a win? Yes, he said. I shook my head. You didn't just take my position. He stayed silent. You took everything, I said. The divorce papers came 2 days later. Emily stood in front of me, holding them. I'm sorry, she said. Are you? I asked. She looked down. I didn't want it to happen like this. But you're okay with it now, I said. She didn't answer. Say it, I said. She hesitated. I'm choosing Daniel. I nodded slowly. Of course you are. No, I said. Don't explain. She swallowed hard. You'll be okay. I almost smiled. That's what you think. She didn't respond. I took the papers from her hand. You made your choice. Yes, she said quietly. I looked at her one last time. I hope it was worth it. A week later, I sat alone in my apartment. The news was playing on the TV. Daniel Carter, the visionary behind the company's rapid growth. I laughed bitterly. Visionary. They really believe this, I said to myself. Another headline appeared. New leadership brings bold direction. Bold direction, I repeated. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You should have seen it coming. I stared at the screen. Then I turned the TV off. Silence filled the room. Everything I had built was gone. My company, my marriage, my brother. I leaned back and closed my eyes. This wasn't a mistake, I whispered. It was planned. Every conversation, every lie, every moment. I opened my eyes slowly. And, for the first time, I understood the truth. They didn't betray me in one night. They had been doing it for months, and I never saw it coming. Hello? I said, holding my phone tighter. Mark, can you hear me? A pause. Then a sigh. Mike, I'm busy right now. It'll take 2 minutes, I said. I just need to talk. I don't think that's a good idea, he replied. I frowned. What do you mean? I mean, things are complicated, he said. For who? I asked. For you or for me? For everyone, he answered quickly. I felt my grip tighten. You worked with me for 5 years. I know, he said. Then act like it, I replied. Silence. Mark, I said. I'm sorry, he muttered. I can't get involved. The call ended. I stared at my phone. Unbelievable, I whispered. I dialed another number. Sarah, please pick up, I said under my breath. The phone rang and rang. Then went silent. No answer. I laughed quietly. Of course. Later that day, I stood inside a small apartment looking around. This is it? I said to the landlord. He nodded. It's affordable. Hey, he nodded. It's affordable. He shrugged. It's what you asked for. I exhaled slowly. Yeah, I guess it is. He handed me the keys. Rent's due at the start of every month. I'll manage, I said. I'm sure you will, he replied, though he didn't sound convinced. He left. I stood there alone. One suitcase. That was all I had left. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked around the room. This is my life now, I said quietly. No answer, no one to hear it. That night, I called Daniel. He picked up on the second ring. What do you want? He asked. I clenched my jaw. I want the truth. You already have it, he said. No, I replied. I want to hear you say it again. A pause. Why? He asked. Because I need to understand, I said. You won't, he replied. Try me, I said. He exhaled. You lost because you were weak. I closed my eyes. That's your answer? I asked. Yes, he said. Not betrayal? I said. Not lies? That's business, he replied. That's not business, I said. That's personal. It became personal when you couldn't keep up, he said. I felt something break inside me. I built that company, and I made it better, he replied. At my expense, I said. At your limit, he corrected. I went silent. Anything else? He asked. I opened my eyes slowly. Yeah, what? You lost a brother. He didn't respond. I hung up. The next morning, I walked into a cafe. The barista looked at me for a second. You're Michael Carter, right? I was, I said. She hesitated. I saw the news. I'm sure you did, I replied. She gave a small, awkward smile. What can I get you? Coffee? I said. Black. As I waited, I heard whispers behind me. That's him. Didn't his brother replace him? I heard he messed up big time. I stared straight ahead. Here's your coffee, the barista said. Thanks, I replied quietly. Grabbed it, and walked out. That night, I sat in my apartment staring at the wall. You should have seen it coming, I said to myself. I stood up suddenly. How didn't you see it? My voice echoed in the empty room. They were right in front of you, I said. I ran my hand through my hair. All the signs were there. The late nights, the lies, the distance. And you ignored it, I whispered. I laughed bitterly. You trusted them. I sat back down. Idiot, I muttered. Silence filled the room again. I leaned forward, resting my head in my hands. What now? I asked quietly. No answer, no plan, no direction. For the first time in my life, I had nothing, no company, no family, no future. I looked around the small apartment. This is all that's left, I said. And the worst part, I didn't even know how to start again. Is this seat taken? A calm voice asked. I looked up. No. The man nodded and sat across from me. You're Michael Carter, he said. I frowned. I used to be. He smiled slightly. Names don't change that easily. I studied him. Do I know you? Victor Hale, he said, extending his hand. I hesitated, then shook it. I've heard that name. I'm not surprised, he replied. You built Hale Industries, I said slowly. And lost it, he added. I leaned back. Then you know how this feels. He looked at me carefully. I know exactly how it feels. Then tell me, I said. Does it get easier? No, he said. I let out a bitter laugh. That's honest. It gets clearer, he continued. Clearer? I asked. Yes, he said. Pain has a way of removing illusions. I looked down at my coffee. I had a lot of illusions. So did I, he replied. I glanced back at him. What happened to you? He folded his hands. I trusted the wrong people. Hamley, I asked. He nodded once. Business partners who felt like family. I exhaled slowly. That sounds familiar. They took everything, he said. Same, I replied. And I let them, he added. I looked at him. You blame yourself. I blame my blindness, he said. I stayed quiet. You're doing the same thing right now, he continued. What do you mean? I asked. You're focused on what they did, he said, not on what you allowed. I frowned. I didn't allow this. You ignored the signs, he said calmly. I looked away. You trusted without questioning, he added. That's not a crime, I said. No, he agreed, but it has consequences. I clenched my jaw. So what now? That depends, he said. On what? I asked. On what you want, he replied. I want my life back, I said. He shook his head. That's not possible. I felt my chest tighten. Then what is? A new one, he said. I stared at him. That's easy for you to say. No, he replied. It's not. I looked at him again. Then explain it. He leaned forward slightly. You have two choices. Go on, I said. You can let this destroy you, he said, or you can let it rebuild you. I laughed quietly. That sounds like a motivational speech. It's not, he said. It's survival. I studied his face. He wasn't joking. Why are you talking to me? I asked. Because I see myself in you, he said. That's not comforting, I replied. It's not meant to be, he said. Silence settled between us. What did you do? I asked. After I lost everything, he said. Yes, I disappeared, he replied. I frowned. Disappeared? I stopped reacting, he said, and started thinking. Thinking about what? I asked. Everything I did wrong, he said, and everything I could do better? I nodded slowly, and then I rebuilt, he said. From nothing? I asked. Yes. I leaned back. That sounds impossible. It felt that way, he said, until it wasn't. I looked at my empty cup. I don't even know where to start. Good, he said. I frowned. Good? Yes, he said. That means you won't repeat the same mistakes. I looked at him again, and what mistakes were those? Trusting without control, he said. Building without protection. I stayed silent. You built something valuable, he continued, but you didn't protect it. I nodded slowly. I trusted my brother. And he used that, he said. I exhaled. So what do I do now? He leaned back. You learn. You learn? I asked. If you're willing, he said. I hesitated. Why would you help me? He smiled faintly. Because someone helped me once. I looked at him for a long moment. Okay, I said finally. Okay, he repeated. I'll learn, I said. He nodded. Good. Silence returned, but it felt different now. Lighter. So what's the first lesson? I asked. He looked at me carefully. Control your emotions, he said. I let out a small breath. That's going to be difficult. I know, he replied. I nodded, but I'll try. That's enough, he said. I looked out the window for a moment. For the first time in weeks, my thoughts felt quieter, not gone, but manageable. You said pain makes things clearer, I said. Yes, he replied. I looked back at him. I think I'm starting to see that. He gave a small nod. Good, he said. I picked up my empty cup and stood up. Same time tomorrow? He asked. I paused. Then I nodded. Yeah, I said. For the first time. Since everything fell apart, I felt something I thought I had lost. Not happiness. Not yet. But something close. Purpose. You're late, Victor said, checking his watch. 5 minutes, I replied, sitting down. That's progress. He gave a small nod. What did you learn this week? I leaned forward. Control. I stopped reacting. And, he asked. I started planning, I said. He smiled slightly. Good. Planning is power. I have an idea, I continued. Tell me, he said. A smaller company? I said. Focused, lean, no unnecessary risks. He studied me. And control? I keep it? I said. No blind trust this time. He nodded. Who's helping you? Only people I choose carefully, I replied. Names? He asked. I hesitated. Sarah, the one who didn't answer your call? He said. She showed up later, I replied. Apologized. And you trust her? He asked. I trust her limits, I said. He smiled. Better answer. And one more, I added. Leo Martinez. Never heard of him, Victor said. You will, I replied. Later that day, I met Leo in a small office. This place is basic, he said, looking around. That's the point, I replied. No distractions. He nodded. I like it. Good, I said. Because this is where we start. He leaned forward. So what's the plan? We build something better, I said. Better than your old company? He asked. Yes, I said. That's ambitious, he replied. So is failure, I said. He smiled. Fair enough. Are you in? I asked. He extended his hand. I'm in. I shook it. Then we don't fail. A week later, Sarah walked into the office. This is your big comeback? She asked. It's a beginning, I replied. She looked at me carefully. You've changed. I had to, I said. She nodded slowly. Good. Are you ready? I asked. For what? She said. To build something real, I replied. She smiled slightly. I've been ready. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. You're pushing too hard, Sarah said one evening. I'm not pushing hard enough, I replied. Leo laughed. You haven't slept in 2 days. I'll sleep when this works, I said. Victor's voice echoed in my mind. Control your emotions. I exhaled slowly. Fine. I'll rest tonight. Sarah smirked. That's new. I'm learning, I said one afternoon. Leo walked in holding his phone. You need to see this, he said. What is it? I asked. He handed me the phone. A news headline filled the screen. Daniel Carter faces internal investigation. I stared at it. What happened? Sarah asked. Legal issues, Leo said. Something about financial mismanagement. I stayed silent. More, he added, scrolling. Investors are pulling out. Sarah looked at me. That was fast. I shook my head. No, it was inevitable. You're not surprised? She asked. No, I said. He built everything on control without trust. Leo frowned. Isn't that what you're doing now? I looked at him. No. What's the difference? He asked. I learned balance, I said. He didn't. That night, I sat with Victor again. You saw the news? He asked. Yes, I replied. And how do you feel? He said. I thought for a moment. Nothing, I answered. He raised an eyebrow. Nothing? No anger, I said. No satisfaction. Why? He asked. Because I'm focused, I replied. He nodded slowly. Good. This isn't about him anymore, I said. It never should have been, he replied. I leaned back. We're growing. How fast? He asked. Faster than expected, I said. He smiled slightly. That's dangerous. I know, I replied. That's why I'm careful. Now you're thinking, he said. Another month passed. Our office was no longer empty. Phones rang, people worked. Energy filled the space. Sarah walked over. We'd just secured another client. Leo added, and 2 investors want meetings. I nodded. Schedule them. Sarah looked at me. You're calm. I have to be, I said. Leo smiled. You're different now. I am, I replied. That night, I stood by the window, looking out at the city. You did it, Sarah said behind me. No, I replied. I'm doing it. She stepped closer. Still, this is big. I nodded. It's just the beginning. Leo joined us. You know what's crazy? What? I asked. You losing everything, he said. That's what made this possible. I smiled faintly. I was just thinking the same thing. Sarah looked at me. Do you regret it? I paused. Then I shook my head. No, I said. Because now I understood something I never had before. Losing everything didn't destroy me. It rebuilt me into someone stronger. Are you sure about this? Sarah asked, her voice low. I looked at the documents in front of me. I've never been more sure. Leo leaned back in his chair. We've acquired enough shares. This is it. I nodded. Scheduled a meeting. Sarah hesitated. He won't see this coming. That's the point, I replied. A week later, I stood outside the boardroom. The same door. The same place where I lost everything. I adjusted my jacket. Ready? Leo asked. I exhaled slowly. I've been ready for a long time. Sarah gave me a small nod. Then let's finish this. I pushed the door open. The room went silent. Every face turned toward me. Daniel froze. Emily's eyes widened. Well, I said calmly, stepping inside. This feels familiar. Daniel stood up slowly. What are you doing here? I smiled slightly. Attending a meeting. You're not part of this company anymore, he said. I walked toward the table. That's where you're wrong, Emily whispered. Mike, I didn't look at her. Sit down, I said, taking my place at the table. Daniel's jaw tightened. You don't belong here. I do now, I replied. One of the investors cleared his throat. Let him speak. Daniel looked at him. What? The man adjusted his glasses. We should hear him out. Daniel slowly sat down. I placed the folder on the table. I'll keep this simple, I said. Go ahead, Daniel replied coldly. I've been buying shares, I said. Silence. Daniel frowned. That's not possible. It is, I said, and I didn't do it alone. I glanced at Sarah and Leo. Emily's voice shook slightly. How much? I opened the folder. Enough. Daniel leaned forward. Be specific. I looked directly at him. Majority control, I said. The room went completely still. That's a lie, Daniel said immediately. Check the documents, I replied. He grabbed the folder and flipped through the pages. His expression changed. Slowly, from confidence to disbelief, to something else. No, he muttered. This isn't real. It is, I said calmly. Emily looked at me. You planned this? Yes, I replied. Daniel slammed the folder shut. You think this changes anything? I leaned back. It changes everything. You lost this company, he said. And now I own it again, I replied. You can't just walk back in, he snapped. I just did, I said. The investors exchanged glances. One of them spoke. The documents are valid. Daniel turned to him. You knew about this. The man shook his head. No, I spoke calmly. No one did. Emily looked down at the table. Daniel stared at me. Why? I met his eyes. Because you taught me something. He frowned. What? Control, I said. Silence filled the room. You took everything from me, I continued. So I learned how to take it back. This is revenge, he said. No, I replied. This is balance. Emily finally spoke. Mike, please. I looked at her for the first time. Don't, I said quietly. Her eyes dropped. Daniel stood up again. I won't accept this. You don't have a choice, I said. I built this company, he argued. I shook my head. We built it. He didn't respond. And then you stole it, I added. The room grew heavier. One of the board members spoke carefully. With majority control, Michael has the authority. Daniel looked around the room. No one supported him. His power was gone, just like mine had been. This isn't over, he said. I stood up slowly. You're right, I said. He looked at me, confused. This is just the beginning, I continued. Emily whispered, What are you going to do? I paused. Then I answered calmly, what I should have done a long time ago. I gathered the documents. Meeting adjourned, I said. No one argued. No one stopped me. As I walked toward the door, I felt their eyes on me. The same room, the same people. But everything was different now. I stopped for a second, then looked back at Daniel. This time I said quietly, I'm in control. And for the first time since I lost everything, I meant it. Go ahead, Daniel said, his voice tight. Do it. I looked at him calmly. Do what? Destroy me, he replied. That's why you came back, right? I tilted my head slightly. Is that what you think? Emily spoke softly. Mike, please. I glanced at her. Please what? She hesitated. Don't make this worse. I let out a slow breath. Worse? Daniel laughed bitterly. Stop pretending. You didn't come all this way for nothing. I stepped closer to the table. You're right, I didn't. Then do it, he said. Finish it. I studied his face. Anger, fear, desperation, all mixed together. This is what you expect from me? I asked. Yes, he said. Because it's what I would do. I nodded slowly. I know. Emily looked at me carefully. You're not him. I met her eyes. No, I'm not. Silence filled the room. I placed my hands on the table. I could destroy you, I said. Neither of them spoke. I could expose everything, I continued. Every lie, every deal, every secret. Daniel's jaw tightened. Emily looked down. And I would win, I added. Daniel let out a sharp breath. Then why are you waiting? I paused. Because for a moment, I felt it. The anger, the urge to make them feel everything I felt. You want me to hurt you? I said quietly. No, Daniel replied. I expect it. That's the same thing, I said. He didn't respond. I straightened up, but I'm not going to do that. Both of them looked up at me. What? Daniel said. I'm not going to destroy you, I repeated. Emily blinked. You're not. I shook my head. No. Daniel frowned. Why? I looked at him. Because you already destroyed yourself. Silence. You lost everything that mattered, I said. You just don't realize it yet. That's not true, he said. Isn't it? I asked. He didn't answer. You lost trust, I continued. You lost loyalty. Emily's eyes filled with emotion. And most importantly, I said, you lost respect. Daniel looked away. That's something you can't rebuild, I added. Emily whispered. Mike, I didn't stop. I'm not here for revenge, I said. I'm here for control. Daniel looked back at me. So what now? I walked to the head of the table. Now, I said, I fix what you broke. He laughed quietly. By sparing us? No, I replied. By removing you. His expression changed. You're both out, I said. Emily's breath caught. Out! Yes, I said. Effective immediately. Daniel stood up. You can't just... I can, I interrupted. And I am. He stared at me. That's it. That's enough, I said. Emily looked at me with confusion. You're just letting us go. I met her gaze. This isn't mercy, I said. Then what is it? She asked. Clarity, I replied. She frowned. I replied. She frowned. I don't understand. You will, I said. Daniel shook his head. You think this makes you better? No, I said. It makes me different. Silence settled again. You wanted me to become you, I said. I didn't. Emily wiped her eyes quietly. Daniel looked at the floor. I took a step back. You made your choices, I said. Now you live with them. No one argued. No one fought. Because deep down, they knew it was over. I picked up my folder. Security will escort you out, I said. Daniel didn't move. Emily stood slowly. Mike, she said softly. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. As they walked toward the door, I felt something shift inside me. Not anger, not satisfaction. Something else. Peace. I turned away and looked at the empty chairs. This is mine now, I said quietly. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to prove anything. Is it really over? Sarah asked as we stepped out of the building. I looked ahead. Yeah, it is. Leo let out a breath. That felt different. It was, I said. Sarah studied my face. You're calm. I am, I replied. She smiled slightly. A few months ago, you would have burned that room down. I let out a quiet laugh. A few months ago, I almost did. Leo shook his head. I still don't get it. Get what? I asked. You had the chance to destroy them, he said. Why didn't you? I stopped walking. Because I don't need to, I answered. He frowned. That's it? That's everything, I said. Sarah crossed her arms. Explain. I looked at both of them. When I lost everything, I thought revenge would fix it. And now? She asked. Now I know it wouldn't, I said. Leo tilted his head. So what changed? Me, I replied. They stayed quiet. I spent nights asking myself the same question, I continued. Why didn't I see it coming? Sarah nodded slowly. And I realized something, I said. I wasn't weak because they betrayed me. Leo leaned forward slightly. Then why? I was blind, I said. I trusted without limits. Sarah sighed. That's not a crime. No, I said, but it has consequences. Leo looked at me. Victor said that, didn't he? I smiled faintly. Yeah. Sarah glanced back at the building. So what does this mean for you now? I followed her gaze. That part of my life is over, I said. Leo crossed his arms. Just like that. Not just like that, I replied. It took everything to get here. Sarah softened her voice. Do you regret any of it? I thought for a moment. Then I shook my head. No, I said. Not even them, she asked. I exhaled slowly. They taught me something I couldn't learn any other way. Leo raised an eyebrow. Which is? I looked back at him. My value doesn't come from what I build, I said. It comes from who I become. Silence settled between us. Sarah smiled. That's different. It is, I said. Leo let out a small laugh. You're not the same guy anymore. No, I replied. I'm not. We started walking again. The city felt different. Quieter, lighter. Where to now? Sarah asked. I shrugged slightly. Forward. Leo smirked. That's not very specific. It doesn't need to be, I said. Sarah looked at me. You finally sound sure. I am, I replied. We reached the street. Cars passed. People moved on with their lives, and for the first time I felt like I could too. I used to think that night destroyed me, I said. Sarah glanced at me. The night you found them? I nodded. Leo asked, and now? I looked ahead. Now I think it saved me. They didn't interrupt. If that never happened, I continued, I would still be the same person. Blind? Leo asked. Yes, I said, and unprepared. Sarah smiled softly. So you're grateful? I paused. Then I nodded. In a strange way, yeah. We stopped at the corner. This is where we split, Leo said. Yeah, I replied. He extended his hand. Proud of you, man? I shook it. Thanks. Sarah stepped forward and hugged me briefly. You earned this. I smiled slightly. We all did. They walked away. I stood there for a moment, alone again. But this time, it felt different. Not empty. Not broken. Just quiet. I looked back at the building one last time. Then I turned away. Because I finally understood something I never had before. Sometimes the worst night of your life is the one that teaches you how to live.